Aiden Cross stood at the apartment window, watching the taxi disappear into the morning fog. His girlfriend, Marina Vale, with her distinctive blonde waves cascading past her shoulders, fox-like ears twitching nervously atop her head, and that elegant tail swishing behind her, had just left for what she called a girls' trip. But something felt wrong. Marina was a hybrid, rare and beautiful, with features that made her stand out in any crowd. Her golden fox ears, soft feline whiskers, and striking amber eyes were mesmerizing. But this morning, those eyes had been distant, carrying a weight she refused to share. "Just a week away," she'd said, her tail wrapped anxiously around her leg, a telltale sign of stress. "I need some time with friends." Aiden had nodded, kissed her forehead, and let her go. He was an architect, trained to read blueprints and structural weaknesses. He could read Marina, too. This wasn't about another man. This was about something deeper, something painful she was hiding. As he turned from the window, his mind was already racing. Marina had given up so much for their relationship, moved to his city, left her career aspirations behind, stopped painting. That last one haunted him most. He'd seen her old sketchbooks once, filled with breathtaking landscapes and portraits. When he'd asked why she stopped, her ears had flattened against her head and she'd changed the subject. Aiden pulled out his phone and called his contractor friend, Devin. "I need a favor, a big one, and I have exactly 7 days." "What are we building?" Devin asked. "Something that might save what I love most." The spare room in their apartment had been storage for 2 years. Boxes of forgotten things, old furniture, dust-covered memories. Aiden pushed the door open and surveyed the space. 12 by 14 feet. North-facing window. Perfect light. By noon, Devin arrived with a crew. By evening, the room was empty, walls prepped for painting. Aiden worked through the night, his architect's precision guiding every decision. Soft cream walls to diffuse natural light. Hardwood floors refinished to a warm honey tone. Track lighting installed with adjustable angles. This would be Marina's sanctuary, a place where she could find herself again. Marina's tail dragged along the hospital corridor as she made her way to room 307. Her fox ears lay flat against her blonde hair, overwhelmed by the antiseptic smell and the steady beep of monitors. She'd lied to Aiden. There was no girls' trip. Her mother, Celeste Vale, lay in the bed looking impossibly small. Celeste was fully human, and Marina's hybrid nature had come from genetic modification during pregnancy, an experimental treatment that saved Marina's life but created a rift that never healed. "You came," Celeste whispered, her voice barely audible. Marina's clawed fingers gripped the bedrail. "The hospice nurse said you asked for me." "Terminal pancreatic cancer. 3 months, maybe less." Celeste's eyes, so unlike Marina's amber ones, searched her daughter's face. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. The way I treated you after the modifications manifested." "Don't." Marina's tail lashed once sharply. "We don't have to do this." But they did. For 3 days, Marina sat in that room listening to her mother's regrets. Celeste had rejected her hybrid daughter out of fear and shame, had called her a mistake, had made Marina feel like a monster. The young artist Marina had been, vibrant, confident, full of dreams, had withered under that rejection. "I stopped painting because of you," Marina finally admitted, her voice breaking. "Every brushstroke reminded me that you thought I was wrong, that my hands were too different, too strange to create anything beautiful." Celeste wept. "I was terrified. You were perfect, and I couldn't see it. I can see it now." On the 5th day, Marina's phone buzzed with a text from Aiden. "Missing you. The apartment feels empty. Come home soon." Guilt crashed over her. Aiden deserved the truth, but how could she explain this? That she'd spent years carrying her mother's rejection like a stone in her chest? That she'd been too ashamed to tell him why she really stopped painting? She texted back, "Miss you too. Be home soon. I love you." That night, she curled up in the uncomfortable hospital chair, her tail wrapped around herself for comfort, and wondered if Aiden would understand when she finally told him everything. Aiden's hands were covered in paint when his phone rang. He'd been working non-stop for 6 days, transforming the spare room into something extraordinary. Devin and his crew had left hours ago, their work complete. Now it was just Aiden, adding the final touches. "It's looking good, man," Devin had said before leaving. "Whatever she's dealing with, this'll help." The studio was nearly perfect. One wall held floor-to-ceiling shelves now stocked with professional-grade art supplies: oils, acrylics, watercolors, charcoals, pastels. Canvas rolls leaned in the corner beside pre-stretched frames of various sizes. An adjustable easel stood near the window, positioned to catch the best light. But it was the personal touches that mattered most. Aiden had framed some of Marina's old sketches he'd secretly photographed, landscapes she'd drawn years ago, portraits of imaginary places. They hung on the walls, reminders of her talent. In the center of the main wall, he'd mounted a large canvas with a handwritten note: "For the parts of you you're still afraid to show." His phone buzzed. "Marina, landing in 2 hours, can you pick me up?" Aiden's heart raced. "Of course, can't wait to see you." He showered quickly, changed clothes, and gave the studio one last look. The evening light filtered through the window, casting the room in a warm golden glow. Whatever Marina had been dealing with, wherever she'd really been, this space would be here for her. During the drive to the airport, Aiden rehearsed what he'd say. He wasn't angry. How could he be? He loved her too much for anger. But he needed her to know that whatever she was hiding, whatever pain she carried, she didn't have to bear it alone. He spotted her immediately at baggage claim. Marina stood with her small suitcase, her blonde hair slightly disheveled, her fox ears drooping with exhaustion. Her tail hung limp, and there were dark circles under her amber eyes. She looked fragile in a way he'd never seen before. When their eyes met, something in her expression crumbled, relief mixed with fear. "Hey you," Aiden said softly, pulling her into his arms. She fit against him perfectly, her face buried in his chest. "I'm sorry," she whispered against his shirt. "I'm so sorry." "Let's go home," he said, kissing the top of her head between her soft ears. "We'll talk there." The apartment was quiet when they entered. Marina's tail dragged behind her as she set down her suitcase, her whole body tense with the weight of confession. Aiden could feel her nervousness radiating like heat. "Before you say anything," Aiden said gently, taking her hand, "there's something I want to show you." Marina's ears perked up slightly, confused. "Aiden, I need to tell you." "I know, and you will, but first." He led her down the hallway toward the spare room. "I've been working on something while you were gone." He opened the door, and Marina froze. The studio stretched before her, luminous, inviting, filled with every art supply she could imagine. Her old sketches hung on the walls like treasures. The evening light poured through the window, illuminating the canvas with his note: "For the parts of you you're still afraid to show." Marina's legs gave out. She sank to her knees, her tail curling around her body as tears streamed down her face. Her fox ears flattened against her head, and her entire body shook with sobs. How did you—" She couldn't form words. Aiden knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. "I knew something was wrong. I knew you were hurting, and I thought maybe this could help. Whatever you've been carrying, Marina, you don't have to carry it alone." "My mother," Marina choked out between sobs. "I went to see my mother. She's dying, terminal cancer. She asked for me, and I went, and I couldn't tell you because I'm so ashamed." "Ashamed of what?" Aiden's voice was gentle, his hand stroking her hair between her ears. "My mother hurt me, of how weak I've been. She rejected me my whole life because of what I am." Marina's clawed fingers clutched his shirt. "She made me feel like a monster, like these—" She touched her ears, her tail. "Made me wrong. I stopped painting because every time I picked up a brush, I heard her voice telling me I was a mistake." Aiden's heart broke. He'd known Marina carried pain, but not this depth of it. "You are not a mistake," he said firmly, lifting her face to look at him. "You are extraordinary. Every part of you, your ears, your tail, your incredible talent, your kind heart, all of it makes you who you are, and I love every single part." Marina's amber eyes searched his face. "I should have told you." "Yes, but I understand why you didn't." He kissed her forehead, then each of her furry ears, making them twitch. Did you get to talk?" "She apologized, asked for forgiveness." Marina's voice was raw. "I don't know if I can forgive her, but we talked, really talked, for the first time in years." They sat on the studio floor for a long time, Marina wrapped in Aiden's arms, her tail curled around them both. She told him everything. Years of rejection, the shame that had silenced her art, the complicated grief of reconciling with a dying parent. "I thought you'd be angry I lied," Marina whispered. "I was worried, not angry." Aiden stroked the soft fur of her ears. "I just wanted you safe. I want you happy." Marina pulled back to look at him, her amber eyes still wet but clearer now. "You did all this for me? While I was lying to you, you were building me a sanctuary." "Because I know you," Aiden said. "I know painting was your voice before someone convinced you to be silent. I wanted to give that voice back." Marina stood slowly, her tail swishing with tentative hope. She walked to the easel, running her fingers over the smooth wood. She picked up a brush, testing its weight. Her ears perked forward, alert and alive. "I don't know if I remember how," she admitted. "Then learn again. I'll be right here." Marina turned to him and something shifted in her expression. Vulnerability giving way to determination. Pain making room for possibility. She crossed the room in 3 quick steps and kissed him deeply, her hands cupping his face. "I love you," she breathed against his lips. "I love you so much." Aiden lifted her effortlessly, carrying her to their bedroom. Marina's tail wrapped around his waist as he laid her on the bed. Her blonde hair spilled across the pillow like golden silk, and her fox ears lay flat in that way they did when she was feeling intimate, vulnerable, wanting. "Show me," she whispered. "Show me that every part of me is beautiful." He kissed her slowly, reverently, her lips, her neck, the soft fur of her ears that made her gasp and arch against him. His hands traced the curve of her spine down to where her tail began, stroking the sensitive base until she trembled. "Beautiful," he murmured against her skin. "Every inch of you." Marina's claws carefully pulled at his shirt, needing to feel his warmth against hers. When their bodies finally joined, it felt like coming home after a long, painful journey. Her tail wrapped around his leg, her ears perked forward in pleasure, and she held him close as they moved together in perfect synchronization. Afterward, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns through her hair and around her ears. "Tomorrow," Marina said softly, "I want to paint again." "Tomorrow," Aiden agreed, "and every day after that." Outside, the city lights flickered like stars, and inside their home, in the studio that love built, a blank canvas waited for a voice that had been silent too long. Marina Vale would paint again, not despite her past, but because of it. Every brushstroke would be an act of defiance against shame, a celebration of survival, a testament to the healing power of being truly, completely seen. And Aiden Cross, the architect who built more than buildings, would be there to witness it all.